Hey everybody, welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. As in previous podcasts, if you are here for the American Horror Story review, just stay right where you are and it will pick up after this little intro. If you are here for the Star Trek Discovery portion of our show, jump to the 45.5-minute mark. Thanks and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Two Dads Review podcast. Clay here on this side of the mic, my buddy Corey on the other side of the mic, ready to talk to you guys about a couple shows that we are okay with. Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, holla! Yeah, definitely. There's one show that we're
always hyped about.
You are a lifer fanboy, and I am a new. I'm not gonna call myself a fanboy because I definitely won't have any allegiance to either side of like any fandom discussion. But I really enjoy this show. Like I'm like hook, line, and sinker into it. I'm like, I swear to God, if someone pulls the fucking plug on this will be the last thing that I ever watch on television. Because I've had too many shows just yanked out from right under me when I'm all ready to love them, and I'm all ready to make them a nice little baby, and we'll raise it together, and we'll be a happy family. And then they go and steal my dream, and they go and steal my goddamn dream from me.
So you're not talking about American Horror Story.
No, that one's more like the dumpster baby of the. We'll go morbid for Halloween right there. Yeah, it's the dumpster baby of the shows.
Day after Halloween, dumpster baby, and a dumpster fire. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, we are here to review American Horror Story Cult episode 9 of 11. I've been thinking for some reason for the past, 3 to 4 weeks that there's only 10 episodes, but there's 11. So we've got 2 more to do after this. So yay. It's great. And then after that, we will jump right into Star Trek Discovery Season 1, because there will be a Season 2, Corey, so you can at least be happy about that. They've already greenlit that last week. So
good. Well, that makes my heart, a little less cold.
Something to look forward to next year. Exactly. That'll be episode 7. That'll start up right after the American Horror Story portion of this podcast. Before we get into that, we just want to remind you guys to head over to, if you didn't find us at twodadsreview.com, feel free to head over there and you can find the links to all the locations that you can listen to our lovely voices. You can listen to it right there. You can also find links to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, and even our YouTube channel that we put the podcast up on as well. We know you guys like to go over there here and there, so we thank you guys for that. You can also, as of a couple weeks ago, I didn't mention this when I first did it because I was just trying to see what was going to happen. But there is now a Two Dads Review subreddit. You can go over there. I put up the link to the website there every week, so you can always just follow that and hop on there and post if you feel like it. Follow stuff there if you feel like it. Whatever works best for you. And as always, you can catch us at Two Dads Review on Twitter, where we mostly are, where we end up live tweeting most of the time for the episodes. So that's how you find us. And you can always find Corey on SlothBear35. He was on Mixer today, streaming some video games, some Vidya games.
Vidya games. Yeah, I was doing the first.
What were you playing?
I was playing Rainbow Six.
It looked nice.
I gotta get you back on that one. I know
Christmas.
I know we tried to play it together at one time, and it was just god awful. But I understand the game now, so I'm a huge fan of it.
It looked great. Other than the fact you couldn't figure out how to lean the correct way. I was noticing that when I was watching your stream. I was like, why are you leaning right to a left lean? What's going on here?
Well, because depending on which angle they're coming from, I need to catch the other corner as well.
That makes a little bit of tactical sense.
he's like, all right, I'll let that slide. All right.
Possibly okay.
It's as close to realistic as it probably can get, but there are still video game aspects to it where it's like Yeah, in real life I'd get shot, but this is a video game. I'm going to be able to peek around that angle because of the way the camera goes.
Exactly. gotta love the. It's only tactical for so long, and then it's video games all the way.
Yeah. So I'd say it's a good 90, 95, 5% split on that.
Yeah, video games for the 95%. Yeah, no. After Christmas, I think I'm going to have to pick up a gaming machine, and we will go from there. We'll have to get some more video game stuff up for our locations that we are found at. So yeah, we will definitely work on that after Christmas. But got to get the kids' Christmas presents bought first before I start going after any computers, man.
Yeah, blame the children. Blame the children.
We are allowed to. With this podcast, we're absolutely allowed to.
I know, it's always their fault.
All right. Well, hey, let's jump into it. We were talking a few minutes before the podcast. You're just, for American Horror Story had you for a couple of episodes. They hadn't had us for a long time this season, but they had you for a couple episodes. But now what are you feeling? A little bit too little, too late?
Yeah. I mean, like, I knew even when it got good, in my opinion, it was going to be a little late in the game. Like you and I have said, the first 3 episodes could have been one, and
right.
Then it's like everything you're giving to me, you dulled my senses so bad earlier. I don't care about it enough anymore.
I hear you. I agree.
And I, like we've said numerous times, I'm only sticking it out this season because we started talking about it.
Very true. Yeah, we definitely picked a season that we're a little lukewarm on, but hey, we're sticking to it. And if anything, the bright points of any of these episodes is Sarah Paulson getting to be a badass and Evan Peters getting to play everybody in the world. So the only problem I have with that, especially this episode, is that all of the minutes and minutes of the show they used up to put him into different cult leaders' makeup and do, stylized versions of what happened at that you can just monologue me. If people don't know the story of Heaven's Gate or don't know the story of David Koresh, then you just give me a quick monologue and an overview. You don't have to show me 5 minutes of, him sitting in a chair sweating. and,
Yeah. Or just call it, just rename this season to like the Evan Peters multi-character Wonderland Zootopia of characters. Like, I don't know, man, because he's the only saving grace, but even now at this point it's like they realize that and they're just like good, like they're overusing him.
Right. Yeah, they've definitely leaned heavy on him, and they're not stopping because I believe the next episode is called Charles Manson in Charge. So we'll get. I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago there was a picture of him in Manson like makeup, like looking like Charles Manson. So we'll have yet another episode where at least part of the time is not spent telling the plot of the story, but telling us a story about other cults. Which, okay, fine. I mean, at this point, it's just like, okay, let's get through 11 and let's just send this season on its. Out to sea. You're good. Thank you. Have a nice life.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, what is it? Put them on an iceberg and let them float out.
Yeah, just push them off. Just see you later,
right,
man.
You're done.
It's all downhill from here. Yeah. So, there are episodes or there are sections of this episode that are really good and they really drive the plot of what they were going for. And, I just don't think it was an hour of it. I'd give you about 30 minutes of it was plot development for this show, not just telling me about old cults. And a lot of stuff happened this episode to a certain extent. A lot of stuff was built up and then didn't happen. So it was, it's those parts that really weigh on me when we spend 10 minutes of convincing people to drink Kool-Aid that's not even poison. So it's like, I mean, of course, it's not going to kill everybody right there in one room. We all kind of knew it, so why even waste that much time on it?
Yeah, well, especially if you're trying to build it up as a suspenseful moment, and I didn't feel like it was a very suspenseful moment.
No, I mean, especially, if he had brought cups already filled, then you could have guessed that somebody was going to bite it. Like, you could have poisoned one of them, and that person would have bit it, but when you've poured it from the same bucket to everybody and everybody drinks it, we know we're not on episode 11, so not everybody's going to be dead.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of anticlimactic, and it was like, of course there's nothing in it, because what are you going to do? You're not going to kill everybody right there, so. Well, all right, with that being said, we'll roll through the events of the episode. We've already kind of touched on the very first scene where we see him done up in he's like Kai is doing a narration, and we're seeing Heaven's Gates, we're seeing David Koresh in Waco, Texas, and it's just talking about Jim Jones, which was the Kool-Aid, the guy where Drink the Kool-Aid came from. And we know, as we said before, Evan Peters was playing each of those cult leaders, and it was he's doing a great job of it. They're just, like you said, they're leaning on him pretty heavy, but yeah, I mean, he does a great job. Evan Peters does a great job. He does what he's told in the script. So,
yeah, he's like, all right, guys, I got it.
I can do this, but thanks. Can we do it? And it turns out to be like, a friggin' bro party, slumber party going on at his house, and they're all in their white jammies in sleeping bags.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you kind of figure that's where like 30 guys are going to shack up, is in his basement. I
mean, yeah, that's kind of okay, I guess. And then he's asking them, who would be willing to, die for me, or who would drink the Kool-Aid if I gave it to you, and one guy is real into it. I mean, real into it.
Oh yeah, that guy. He's like, "I do it, man. Fucking just give me that shit. We're all here for you." It'd
have been great if he was the guy he asked to drink the first time later on in the episode, and like he bailed on him, like the guy. It'd be great if it was the same guy, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we roll from there into the next council meeting, which, we kind of asked for it last episode, I believe, but we see that one of the members of the council has like a cast on and like a sling, and has like a black eye, and has been clearly beaten the fuck up. So it's definitely not just everybody agreeing all at once, or some are trying to like stand up a little bit and end up not standing up at the end of it. So you still have the same guy at the very end who is going against him, even though he doesn't have the majority. He's losing the votes. He doesn't vote. He doesn't vote with Kai this week, which I'm sure means next week he's done. He'll have an accident or something. Which I don't know if Kai. I mean, I don't know how far off the deep end Kai is going to go, because I
would say he's pretty much already off the deep end, man. Like after last week with that whole weird incestual, non-incestual thing.
I hadn't thought about that for like 3 days straight. I wanted to thank you for bringing that back into my brain again.
Oh yeah, dude. I hope it sits there just loops.
It's just a GIF. It's just watching the same GIF over and over again.
15-second GIF of the awkward moments.
Yeah, no, that scene. I could not listen to that part of the podcast ever again from last week. So he's trying to pass his Internet Integrity Act, which pretty much lets the city monitor and regulate what like websites people can go to and where they are going on the internet. And it passes at the end by enough votes, but you can clearly tell that the council members are scared of him. And then at the very end, he makes his point. He makes his announcement that he's going to run for Senate in 2018. So, as the council member, I'm like, oh, good. Maybe he won't be on the council anymore.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you got to be like, oh, God, that guy's going to go even higher up the ranks.
Right. It's amazing somebody just doesn't like go and kill him, when he's walking around. Of course, he is.
Yeah, it's amazing how that never happens.
I know. It never happens to the ones that need it to happen to. Maybe later. We got 2 more episodes left.
Or like the one asshole that is like driving 100 miles an hour, zigging in and out of everybody and never gets pulled over. And then all of a sudden you go 69 and a 65 and it's like, boop, boop. You're like, oh my God, come on.
Yeah, that's, rarely does instant karma happen in this world, but I believe that it does in the long run.
Yeah, apparently instant karma only happens to like movie stars and professional athletes. It's like, okay, you've made it high enough up the totem pole that only swift justice is going to reckon how you need to change your lifestyle.
Is that even instant though? They've been doing it they've been on top for years, and then finally somebody knocks them down. That's not instant. That still takes forever.
Well, it's always like well, you know what I mean. It's like it's always swift. Like
True.
It's like whatever finally gets them, it crushes everything, and it's like only the people that actually learn from it are the ones that get the chance to remake the career. They're like, oh, okay, Robert Downey Jr., got your shit together. Go be Iron Man, son. Go be Iron Man.
Go be Iron Man. Very true. Yeah, there's definitely this is a podcast, so people could be listening to this weeks and weeks and after we actually record this, but this is the week that they dropped the guy from Discovery accused Kevin Spacey of some things when he was 14, and now they've halted production on the current season of House of Cards. May not even continue it. We don't know, but we know that they've called this the last season, whatever happens to it. So yeah, speaking of falls from grace.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, there's another of the example of the swift justice, but it's like, yeah, dude, you're 26, man. You can't be like getting on top of a 15-year-old. That's just not okay.
Just not
Ever.
cool. And it's right. So yeah, a little bit of current events on the podcast, which is not what this is about. It's not good if you listen to it 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now, or a year from now. If you are, welcome, hello, future people.
Yeah.
We're talking to you from the past. How does it feel to be a time traveler? All right, so back to the story. Enough current events for now. I'm sure we'll get back into them later. The next scene we get is Allie and Ivy. Since Allie's in the cult now, they can like hang out again, and they're back at their house. So they're having a conversation, pretty much recapping what had taken place since the election, where they all started, losing it. Allie's phobias took over. Ivy was just lost and wanted someone else to be, to make the decisions for her, which is how she's saying she got sucked into the cult originally. And now, all Allie cares about is getting Ozzy back. And for Ozzy's sake, not leaving Ivy behind. So suddenly they're kind of together on this quest to get Oz, and they realize they don't need to be, since they've seen what Kai's true colors after killing his brother and banishing Beverly wherever. They see his true colors, and they're kind of teaming up to get Oz back and then figuring out how to take off.
Yeah, they're like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, man.
Right, and so as they're having their discussion, Winter walks in with Oz, because she's still babysitting him, of course, and she's still doing Ivy, from what I understand. So Oz is finally wonderfully nice to Allie. I don't know if he can sense that she's not the scared, fragile thing she was earlier or what, but it's really nice to see him being nice to her.
Yeah, or he finally realizes that like he's in a whole new level of crazy, and like that mom just really loves him. And
right,
like I'm just saying, like something's clicked in his head.
True, and even Winter's apologizing to them because now since she was all Team Kai last week and talking them down, she realizes after watching her other brother die at the hands of Kai that she's got to find a way to escape. But yeah, we also know that Winter is just, you can't trust her as far as you can throw her. She looks like she's confused. She looks like, in fact, someone on Twitter and I were talking back and forth last night while I was watching the episode, and it's like, I kind of feel bad for Winter, but I kind of don't. So it's one of those, like, I can't tell how much of hers is, I can't ever tell from her how much of her is an act and how much of it she really is as lost and as, scared as she plays it to be. I don't know.
Well, I think like everything that she gives to the people is an act, and everything like obviously everything with Kai is like really her, so like when she's scared like that. But I think some of the times, like when she acts scared, I've kind of noticed that it's in a situation where it's to her benefit.
Right.
To, you know, like it's like I've never seen her in a situation where it's like she's bonkersly scared before other people. It's kind of always like, I gotta be scared because everybody else is scared. And I don't know if that's just because whether it's because she really doesn't have any sense of being scared, or, you know, like not like she like
emotion. She has to go, like, oh, you're feeling scared, so I should look like I'm scared, but I don't feel anything.
Yeah, like she's deprived of it. And like I think we may come to find that out, like where she's just like emotionally inept except for with her family. Like everything else, it's just a gimmick.
Right, she's just walking around in a trance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where that's the case, and yeah, and after they're done talking with her, some of the guys in the blue shirts start banging on the doors, and bang on the door, and they come in and they tell them there's going to be an emergency meeting at the headquarters, i.e., Kai's mom's basement.
Yeah, his parents' house, which is still funny to me.
You're right. It is great that it's still happening from like the standard nerd domain of like your mom's basement.
Yeah, and he's just got some lime over some people upstairs. No big deal.
Right, exactly. So when they get over to the house, the good part of it, bad for Kai, because I still think that she's going to be one of the ones that is in on him getting killed. Beverly is still alive. She is fucked up, but she is still alive. He didn't kill her, which is nice. But they wouldn't kill her off camera anyways. There's no way.
Yeah.
The minute that she sees her, the minute that Beverly sees Winter, she immediately like hauls off and smacks her. And was that the first smack on Winter, or did Allie smack her when she first came in with, no, she wouldn't have done that with Oz. So I think Winter gets smacked again later on, because at some point I was like,
yeah, Allie clocks her later in the episode, okay. Like just, and it wasn't even like, it was, she like pushed her way through the door, saw Winter, and like before Winter could open her mouth, it was boom! Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, doesn't it? And then, like, it's like, understand where I'm coming from immediately.
Yeah, that was fantastic. There's a lot of hate thrown towards Winter's way this episode. She got hit a bunch.
Well, yeah, you know, dude, it's like, if you're gonna just stand by and let the shit happen, like, don't you think you're kind of just as guilty at the end of the day?
Say that again?
Like, okay, like if something like, okay, like in their case, like Winter could have like done a whole lot to either not be in this cult, or, you know, even within the cult, like let's say she was in it, like she still did some shit to kind of shit on other people.
Very true. So,
you know, it's kind of like, these slaps she's getting, man, you know, you kind of just let the shit happen.
Well-deserved.
So they're kind of well-deserved.
True. And that's what the person who was on Twitter with me was talking about. She's like, I think she kind of deserves it. I was like, I'm not saying she didn't deserve it. I'm just saying the girl's getting it all at once, man. This one episode is just all just trained on her. Like, this is what you get for fucking with me. This is what you get for fucking with me. Like, everybody just hauled in on her this week.
Yeah, they should have just named it like the Haymaker episode, you know.
There is a compilation of Haymakers we could put together from this season, that's for sure. Ivy on Allie, all the ones on Winter, Kai on Meadow. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff this season. So that could be a fun little YouTube put together.
Yeah, actually that's not a bad idea.
So in fact, you have one of those gifts because you made it into like an ad for our show.
Yeah, that's one of the
slaps. Oh man. Okay, so this is when we talked about earlier. This is when Kai brings out his blue juice or his grape juice or whatever the heck it was, and pours it all from the same bucket into all the cups, passes it out to everybody, and then he, you know, asks one of his henchmen to go first, and he immediately is like, I can't do it, and then good old one-armed Gary just shoots him dead right there in the basement.
Yeah.
So they're just piling up bodies, and we know that they're not all going into the dead people rooms. I don't know where they're doing with all these bodies. There's a lot of mass graves somewhere in this town.
Yeah, right. Like there's just like I don't know. He's probably got access to some mortuary somewhere somehow.
Some cult member, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because remember my first impression of this show was like that a lot of people in the town were in on it, and there's not nearly the reach this cult should have to be able to do the things they're doing right now.
Yeah, but now he kind of does. Like he's got like muscle. He's got like
they're just threatening people. They're just like the mob now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he has a racket going. Literally, he like goes and breaks a window and goes, "Oh man, it looks like you need help."
Right. We'll offer you protection.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then, after much hollering, the girls drink theirs. Then he points around the room, and the rest of the guys in the room drink theirs, and he drinks his at the end. And then, in pure bro code, like they get all hollery and screamy because he tells them that like there wasn't anything in it. It was just grape juice or whatever he said. So, and it was a test, and they all passed. Now they're all in it together, even the women. So yeah. I believe that is
together, except for that guy. He's dead.
Right. He didn't really have a choice. It was either die painfully or die dead, die from a bullet. So we'll go with
I think I do, but okay. Let's go into a cult membership here. Like, let's say you and I were in a cult, and we've gotten that far down the line where, given the things that those guys have probably already done on behalf of Kai, like, do you really think drinking the juice from the dude is that big of a deal at that point? Like, to me, I feel like I wouldn't even bat an eyelash at it. Like, I'd be like, okay, I've already literally beat the shit and probably murdered for you, so what's the difference between drinking some juice here?
I mean, I'm too pretty for prison, so the juice is a way better option out than going to jail or prison for all the stuff we have done. I would not do well in prison. or I do really well, depending on how you're looking at it.
That's true. I mean, I guess it all depends on what role you're willing to accept in prison. Like, I don't think you nor I have the role of intimidation is going to work. It's going to work in our behalf. So the only way we're making it out of prison,
it's not the podcast. That's for sure.
No, yeah,
they're not listening to us in jail.
Not the podcast,
It's like, how do I fashion this into a dress? So, all right. Anyways, I see what you're saying there. So, after that, after they end up not drinking any poison, Allie and Ivy are back at the house, and they are officially planning their escape. They're like, we have got to get out of here. We do not have the time or the inclination to stay around for this. This guy's nuts. And so they said, they prep everything. They're planning on picking Ozzy up from school the next day, leave town. They're not packing anything because if there's anybody watching them, they'll know they're doing it. So like,
that would be very suspicious.
Right. Just bags and bags. Right. I like how Allie's just putting it all in trash bags. Like, that's ingenious. Just stick it all in trash bags and just carry it out of your car like you're taking the trash out.
Yeah.
So, the next day, they head over to the school, and they find out that Winter already picked up Ozzy and took him over to Kai's. And so they go over there to immediately confront him. I believe that's when one of them I think it's when Allie hits Winter. Is that correct? When they go looking for Oz, and she asks where the fuck is he or whatever.
Yeah, because they go to the school, and the lady with the clipboard's like, he was checked out, and then Allie takes off and is like, he's not fucking here. We gotta go. And then right when she bursts through the door, like, she shoves the dude out of the way, like, with his arm.
Yeah.
And then Winter's like, hey, wha-bam! Slap! Like, just thunderous, booming crush across her face. And she's like, huh?
She's like, I've been hit. I got 2 concussions now. You guys got to stop this stuff.
Yeah, basically, she does. She's going to be the only one that doesn't get in trouble because she genuinely has no recollection of anything that happened from the amount of concussions she's going to suffer in this season.
Very true. Yeah. So, and then this is the point where they go down and find. They find Ozzy and Kai, and he goes to play upstairs, and they're talking to Kai, I believe. And this is when I think Oz may have still been there when he said that, he was Oz's dad from the sperm bank that she got her turkey basted from. Remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that, but
I don't know if Oz was there or not. I'm not sure if it's really that important to it.
Okay, yeah, I
don't remember.
Nope, nor do I.
But so this kind of goes into, I think we'd actually speculated this early on in the season that it was a possibility that he was his father. And they play it like it was, at least for part of this episode. We find out differently later on, unless it's already been changed, and she's supposed to have found that. But I don't know. He leads to believe. Anyways, we'll get there in a second. But so I believe that this is when Kai, quote unquote, convinces them to let Oz spend the night and like hang out over there.
Yeah.
So they leave, and Oz is cool with it, and the girls go back home, and then we get to pretty much the important part of the show, and that would be Allie and Ivy are at home. Allie's making some dinner, boiling some pasta to be exact.
Yeah, she's not really like doing a like an insane fancy.
True. Ivy's like, "Oh, you cooked?"
Last meal.
Ivy's like, "Oh, you cooked?" She's like, "I put pasta in boiling water."
Yeah.
It is like, your sauce.
I totally did this.
Right. So Allie sits down and feeds Ivy some pasta and some wine that she has laced with cyanide, I believe. Cyanide or arsenic. I guess it was cyanide. And kills her wife and says she wanted to watch her die, and there she goes right in front of her. It was pretty cold-blooded. It was pretty nice. It was, it was well-deserved, I believe, in the plot of the show. Ivy's the one that started a lot of this stuff, and hates her wife, wants to see her, doesn't want to be with her.
Yeah, dude, like I don't feel any remorse for her like going out the way she did. I wasn't like, ooh man, that was a rough death. Like I was like, yeah, that's what you get. That slow burn, man. That's what you deserve. You were just a terrible, terrible person. Well,
and I guess what made it even better was the fact that she didn't see it coming, because she thought she had, quote unquote, partially reconciled with Allie, because Allie wanted to, for Oz's sake, have both his moms in the picture. But after seeing Ivy back down when Kai wanted to have the sleepover with Oz or whatever, and say just let him do it, she'd had enough, I believe.
Yeah, when she was like, okay, you're not. I get it if you're not going to stand up for me, but you're not even standing up for the children. You've gone so far down this rabbit hole, or you're so scared of him that you're willing to let anything happen to the boy.
Right, and I do like the story that Ivy tells about Allie tells Ivy while she's eating about when she was in the mental institution and she, overcame suicidal thoughts, and it was a good little story to tell. And then at the very end, Ivy's dying, so it's like she got over it. She's good. So
yeah, I like how she was like when Allie was telling her, the crazy stuff, and then I like how Ivy was just like, I don't remember at what point it happened in the conversation when she was just like, nothing you did was like coherent. She was just like listing everything that was wrong with her during that conversation.
Ivy was?
Yeah, when she was just like, it was the clowns, it was the holes, it was the blood, it was this, it was that, and like, it was like, what, but I don't know, man, but I like how she just kind of also didn't seem to give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
Allie's like, you can say what you want to, because you're dying, bitch.
Yep.
You're dying right now as you still talk shit to me. So, and she just, Ivy never saw her as a strong person ever. So, Allie's telling her this story about when she actually had some strength, before all this happened. And Ivy's still shitting on her. So she got what she deserved. I'm not sure, I don't know. It could have been somebody is going, and Allie is, what's scaring me is Allie's still holding back. So that her killing Ivy could have gone down way harsher and way more grotesque than just poisoning. And so I have a feeling that at some point Allie's gonna click into psycho mode and she's just gonna stab somebody's head off.
I think something crazy is gonna happen with her and Kai. And I think she's got the upper hand now.
She does. He's losing. He's going too far, too fast with too little, and she has nothing to lose, which is the worst thing ever. Because Oz, yes, okay, so she has Oz, but that's all she's fighting for now is Oz.
Yeah, but I think she's now has that Sarah Connor thing going on where she's gonna take Oz, but also at the same time she now knows that she has to end Kai, otherwise it'll never end.
It won't be over. You're right.
Yeah, that or she's gone so crazy that her and Kai just end up becoming this first lady, governor, POTUS, I don't know, something, man, kind of couple, and they're just both batshit insane.
That would be yeah, and that would be the kind of ending for American Horror Story. It's not going to be a happy ending.
No, but they're going to have this weird connection forever now. I mean, obviously, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? That it'll be they'll be copacetic if it's going to work.
Just I accept your crazy, you accept my crazy.
Yeah, there we go. Damn, I don't understand how I couldn't have came up with that simple way to put that. I'm looking forward to the last two episodes, but they're gonna have to be pretty crazy for me to end this season on a high note. But I don't know I don't know if anything is gonna surprise me anymore with this season. I don't know. I mean, everything that happened this episode, while there was some decent stuff, it wasn't surprising. Ivy needed to die. Ivy betrayed Allie. Ivy did half this shit to Allie on purpose. It's just, it is what it is. So, anyways, next scene, we can get lost on that for a while. Next scene is we're back in the basement with the sleepover, and Kai is telling about how Jim Jones was resurrected by Jesus, and how then Jim Jones then resurrected all of his other members who died that same day. And Oz is there Googling on Wikipedia that's not what happened. I'm reading it right here. Yeah. He's then why are all those people still sad?
Right. And he died from a gunshot to the head. He didn't drink the poison. It was, so I guess Kai gets all up in his face and sends him to timeout, which who the hell knows what that is, but he seems, I think we see him later on and he seems okay. Yeah. Cause she reunites with him at the end of the episode and he's not looking like Beverly was when she got out of the hole that she was in.
Oh yeah,
so,
man.
She was rough.
She looked like she'd been in hell.
Yeah. I do kind of hope we get to see where she was being held. I think that'll be interesting to see if they show it to us next week. So yeah, to round the episode out, the very end of it, Allie's she tells one of the guys, she's like, you just tell Kai dinner at my house tonight.
Yeah, right. She's just he knows what's up.
Right. And so she goes to the sperm bank. She gets the file. She pays the lady some monies, gets the file of who the actual donor is, and it's not Kai. And then she goes, well, now that you've done this, you're going to do something else for me. And then they cut to dinner, and so you find out what she did, and she had the lady doctor up a file to make it look like Kai is the father. Therefore, that right there saves Oz's life.
Pretty much.
That just saves it, because there's no... If Kai thinks he's the Messiah that he's fathered, then he's good to go. Oz is safe. So, She feeds him the man witch, which we all hoped that she had poisoned, but then there's still 2 more episodes. There's no way that was happening. So she's
doing the slow poison thing, man.
Right?
Like there's 2 episodes left, so and I guarantee probably there's going to be like 6 weeks that pass between each episode.
She's just that wife, that old wives' tale, the wife who does the drop of like arsenic in the guy's meal every day for like 40 years until he just dies of something.
Yeah, built up in his system enough that he's just like
just one day just keels over. Yeah, we'll see what happens, and then even and during dinner, she's showing him in air quotes that she trusts him. So she tells him that she killed Ivy, and he was like, "No shit."
Yeah, he's like, "How'd that feel?" And
so he helps her dispose the body by bringing her into the parents and brother room. But then he's like, "No, the bed's for family."
Yeah,
so
I like that.
Just put her on the floor and sprinkle some lye on her and call it a night. So yeah, and then she gets to see Oz, and that
perfect little happy family starts.
Little happy family starts there. Everything's good to go. She's in, and her plan is in motion. She is steps ahead of Kai for once, I believe. I believe this is probably the first episode so far that somebody is ahead of him in the thinking on where the end goal is.
Yeah, no, I'm actually with you. Like I said, I think she has the upper hand now, and I think she's gonna end up playing him like a fiddle. Like, she was bad shit, and like you and I both said, man, we always wanted her to be strong, and like, I didn't get why she was such a softie at the get-go. But again, if they would have made her only a softie for maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and then did the transition maybe a little longer, and we could have seen it, like, that would have been cool. But now that she's all gung-ho and Rambo, it's a little too late. Like, okay, cool. Like,
it's like, get to it.
I'm glad you got to it. Like, but okay, why isn't he dead already?
Right.
Like, now you're doing this too slow.
Right. Apparently you put on goth eyeliner in your set. You're like, I'm badass now.
Yeah, she's like, I'm black and I got some wings on the eyes. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Nice. Well, that wraps up this episode of American Horror Story. So any final thoughts on this episode? Did we cover pretty much everything?
No, I think we covered everything, man. This episode was pretty straightforward. It was, like I said, I think I told you offline, like, I think every conversation in this, like, when I genuinely go back and think about the episode, it was almost like everything was said in passing. There's nothing that really, like, hooked me or stuck with me. I mean, the big thing to me was the doctor documents and, obviously Ivy going out.
Right.
Like, oh shit.
Right. And it's like, well, someone else we knew died, so that's a good episode.
Yeah, but there was no wordplay that made me second guess anything, I guess you could say, or made me really really think about going, maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next week. I hope, like we said earlier in the podcast, I thought about 20 to 30 minutes of this episode actually progressed the plot, and the rest of it was just kind of filler. And I hope next week they move it along, and they wrap it up nicely the week after. But we'll see. Time will tell. So we want to thank you, everybody who is only here for the American Horror Story portion. If you are also here for the Star Trek Discovery portion of our review, just hang on, and we will be back very, very shortly. Like, as soon as I can cut this to the other recording we're about to do.
Yeah, but thank you guys for coming out and listening to the AHS part of it. We really do appreciate it, and I hope you guys stick around. It's gonna only get better.
It can get no worse.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I think our bar just rests on excellent. I don't ever think it moves. You know what I'm saying?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's where that's where our standards are. Excellent.
That's right.
And excellent only.
That's right. Share us around, guys. Like us, review us where you can on what is it?
Twitter?
No, well, you don't
Facebook?
review us on Twitter. Apple Podcasts. You can review us there. I think there's a few of the other places you can do reviews of the show. So
I think Twitter's just one giant review for life, though.
I don't want to admit that, but I think you're right. I don't want to admit that. I'm not good at Twitter. I'm trying my damnedest, but it's really hard.
I don't know. You seem to be doing all right. I don't think it's too hard. You follow people you like and you put up things that you think. That's pretty much all there is to it.
Very true. What do I do this for then?
Because you and I just, like, I think this is more for us. Like, we like hanging out, but we don't want to leave our house. And this is so true. And this is a way for us to do something together.
And everyone listening, you're welcome to be brought into our circle.
Yeah, man. If you don't want to move from your house either, like, we'll all get together and just have a big group and talk about shows.
Exactly. All right. So anybody leaving, we'll catch you next week for the next episode of American Horror Story. If you're here for Star Trek, just stay right here. Okay, so you're back, or you stayed on, or you jumped here, or you randomly found this spot. Good job. We are now to the Star Trek Discovery portion of the Two Dads Review podcast. And yeah, we are going to jump right into it. Well, no, we're not going to jump right into it, Corey. So in preparation for this episode, I made you watch an episode of The Next Generation, and the title of that episode was called Cause and Effect. And number one, what did you think of that episode before you, and not, but after you watched it, before you saw this episode of Discovery? And number two, were you glad that you watched it because you kind of knew what they were shooting for this week? Do you remember the first question?
Yeah. To answer the latter question first, because no, I don't think me having any prior knowledge really would have mattered, or does matter. And I don't and I'm not like, ooh, I was super cool that I got to watch that episode before so I could see him do it, because even though they were stuck in the same type of time loop, because I think they both referenced the name in the episodes, and I remember going, hey, I just watched the other episode. That's what they called it. So
there's only so many things you can call.
Yeah, right. Like a temporal time warp or loop or whatever that was called. Like that's cool that there's like some flashback to that, or like maybe if like they were playing poker at a point, like that would have been kind of cool. Like how they do homages, like in horror films, right, where all of a sudden you'll see like an Evil Dead figurine or something on the floor, and you're like, oh, nice, that's right, they're in a cabin. Like that would have been kind of like cool if you had the knowledges of it. But to me, the episodes were just completely night and day.
Yeah, truthfully, I think now that you brought up like homages to old to like, I don't even think there was anything other than the fact it was a time loop that really was like, hey, by the way, we've done this before. We're paying our tribute to it. I think it was, I didn't notice any of that, which is fine. I don't need that kind of fan service.
Yeah, no, and it was cool because I think they treated it like, okay, there's got to have been another spaceship at some point that was stuck in a time loop, like, right? Like, I mean, just because Star Trek's the only show out there that's calling it that and doing it. Like, obviously we know it's gonna happen again in Star Trek, but why would they remake the episode? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it should be completely different, and I think they did a really good job of making it stand on its own.
Agreed. I completely agree. Oh, well, okay, for backstory, for anybody who didn't listen last week, Cause and Effect from TNG is probably one of my top 10 or top 5 episodes of TNG, and there's a lot of really good ones, which I'm making it a point to try to watch one with you a week. Like, check out this awesome episode from my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be great.
You're like, I'm going to make you watch all of this, man. I was like, all right, dude, that's cool.
You're gonna know all the inside nerdy shit I say because it'll be a line from one of the different episodes. But yeah, so the time loop episode is one of my. In fact, the time playing the same portion of time over and over again. I actually really kind of dig movies and TV shows that do that. Vantage Point, I believe, is one movie that did it. That wasn't really. I don't think it got like great reviews, but I enjoy that kind of storytelling at times. So it's probably why I lean more towards like liking this type of episode, because it doesn't really do a whole lot for the plot of the overarching story. It's kind of a standalone type thing, but it's very, I mean, there's some overarching stuff, some relationship things, and some more stuff that we discovered during this episode, but it's just more, it's like fun. It's fun and it's fast, and you're watching it intently to see what's changing each loop. And then to also wrap your brain around, we saw a total of, here, let me see my notes right now. We saw a total of six loops in the episode. We saw 6 of them, but he killed 53 times.
Yeah.
Right. So we know that on top of that, all of the loops that had to happen to determine the sequence of events for Mudd to get as far as he got each time. That kind of stuff like messes with my head, and I enjoy like pondering that part of the episode as well that you don't get to see. So I will okay, I do enjoy taking good notes so I can go over each episode scene by scene. I will apologize if this gets repetitive.
And so Scott walks through the door.
Again.
Okay, guys,
for
Scott walks through the door for the 53rd time.
So they're at a party.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so all right. So I've given a little bit of our backstory. Everybody knows that you watched Cause and Effect. If you have not seen Cause and Effect, go watch Cause and Effect. It's season 5, episode like 19 or something of TNG. It's a great, just episodic one. It doesn't do anything else but tell this one portion of the story. You're not going to have to know anything in advance, beginning or end, or anything outside of this episode. It's very fun to watch, and it's more of a, TNG, all Star Trek, which is what everybody bitches about, is more of a slow burn type thing. It's like a slower, we talk about poker, we're talking about, like meeting rooms and conferences, and this whole, this episode shows what this show's about, and it's like parties and shit blowing up and people, dying left and right and all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So, it's the 2017 version of it, and I'm fine with that. I'm cool. It's a good episode.
No, they're definitely like, people died in space. We're gonna show you how.
Oh man, yeah, there was some stuff. Yeah, so pretty much the question I ask you beginning of every episode, Corey, as a non-lifetime Trekker, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, I liked the episode. It was a great episode. Like you said, like you could watch this episode by itself without seeing anything beforehand, prior, and just take it for what it is. Like, it was a cool time loop episode. Like, and you didn't need to know anything else. Like, because obviously it got I mean, some of the stuff mattered, but it gets explained in it because it's a damn time loop. So they're going to monologue at a certain point.
Yeah, they're going to explain it at one of the loops. One of the loops they're going to get to it.
Yeah, one of the loops is going to have the whole explanation in it.
Right. So, okay.
But I really liked it. It was a sweet episode.
And I did like how they showed us previously on, and then they went right into the intro, because they're like, we're not breaking this shit up for anything. There's nowhere to put the intro music and credits. We're putting that before we show you any of this show, because usually they break them in there like 10 or 15 minutes into the first act or whatever. But they were like, nope. Previously on, intro credits, boom, loop number 1.
Yeah, 30-minute time loop. Go.
We got things to do. So, okay. So the first loop that we see, we first get Burnham on her little monologue, personal log type thing, and she has this real serious monologue about, we're seeing the daily routine on the Discovery. We're seeing, that we're hearing her say that she's found her place, that things are starting to become routine. She's made a friend, which is Tilly, which we love, or, and some folks are becoming more intriguing to her, Tyler, because we know that she's falling for him or whatever's happening there. The day,
by the way, not a bad guy.
Still, he's going to be the bad guy because it has to break her. Him not being who he says he is has to. In fact, I'm still okay. So, all right.
I love how I already brought you to a tangent.
You did. You've already pulled me on a tangent. Okay, so depending on the week, when I put the podcast up on like Star Trek subreddit or whatever, sometimes I get downvoted to hell, and that's fine. Fuck you guys who downvote me and still listen to my show. So you're welcome for the entertainment you're still listening to, even though you downvote me. I'm just trying to get the word out to people who like it.
Hey guys, I don't do anything on Reddit, so don't be mad at me for the fuck you. Like that wasn't me.
It just bugs me that one week I'll get downvoted to hell, the next week I get like upvoted like crazy. It's like it's just who decided to log in for their mom's basement that week. That's all. So whatever. Anyways, every once in a while I actually have a nice conversation with somebody who's a Star Trek fan and a fan of this show. And so this week, a guy and I went back and forth, and his idea was that Tyler is actually like a sleeper agent. Like he doesn't know that he can be turned with, like, if someone says like purple strawberries and he's gonna flip his shit and like kill everybody on the bridge. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that the Klingons tortured him. In fact, Stamets makes I'll get to that in a second. We'll get there in a minute, because even though they don't talk about it, they still are hinting at the fact that he should not be the way he is after 7 months of torture in a Klingon torture ship. So,
yeah. Well, there's also a whole lot of people that shouldn't be the way they are because of the things that have happened to them already. So that's null and void.
No, it's not null and void, because they make a point to like stop everything in a scene for Stamets, who's high as a fucking kite 24/7, to make this very astute observation. So that's all I'm saying. Anyways, so but to make Tyler the love interest of Burnham, and also this could be possible sleeper agent, you know, probably not bad guy on purpose, would really be a great episode, and it would break Michael because she would have to choose between her duty and the man that she loves or whatever. I mean, so it was a cool conversation. You know, it was on last week's post for the show on Star Trek. So if you want to find it, feel free to. It was a neat little conversation. If I had it pulled up, I'd tell you the guy's subreddit or, you know, Reddit name, but I don't have it pulled up because I'm horribly ill prepared for this. So whatever. I was like, yeah, I'll have his name pulled up so I can give the guy a shout out, but I didn't, so I'm sorry.
But you just do it right now, man.
I could do it right now, so I can still talk about the episode while I'm trying to do this.
Yeah,
this is not going to go over well. I could actually,
motherfucker.
Actually, in the magic of podcasting, I will find it, and there won't even be a break in my voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have his name. The guy's name is K_Nick, Nikk, and he says, have you ever considered sleeper agent possibility with Ash? So then he was saying, I like the idea of Ash being genuine, but also be Voq, and let me see, where did he talk about? He talked about like the Ash consciousness thing. We thought maybe Voq may have his consciousness implanted into him. It's kind of like sleeping right now. It's like one of those, it's sectioned off from the rest of his brain. There's all kinds of crazy stuff, but yeah, it's interesting.
I'm just saying, okay, like I'll give you the sleeper cell piece because that's some like trigger that he doesn't know about. But I'm saying like this dude didn't purposely become a bad guy. Like I don't think how you said he did like a face-off thing. Like I don't think.
No, I'm falling more and more behind on that one. Yes.
Okay, I'm just saying, like I don't think he's a Klingon in human skin.
He'll have to bleed red for me though, for me to be completely off of that.
Yeah, no. I'll let you hold on to it, man. Like you could cling to it all you want.
There's a tiny bit of me who's still holding on to it because even this episode, when he dies, he just kind of vaporizes into ash or charred or something. He just kind of blows away. There he goes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, so did Michael.
I know.
Like,
so it's yeah.
But I'm saying, like, that's just how that thing killed the people.
Exactly. So there was no blood, so there was nothing to see. So yeah, it was only Lorca that we got to see his insides on one of his kills. So
did we even really? I mean, was it his insides or was he getting like charred?
No, it was like muscular. It was like muscular. Like it went like layer by layer, like quickly. Nice. Like you saw like I thought there was like red facial muscles. Like ugh.
No, I think you're right. Like I think I just was like, damn.
There was some vaporizing ones, but the one with the 6-shooter, like the old school Western looking gun, that's the one that like just ripped him up like layer by layer till he was gone.
Yeah, that's the one when Moda was like, well, we still don't know what this one does.
Right, exactly. Okay, so after Burnham's serious monologue, she's like, "Tonight we're having a party." Like it was, and then it was like, then we find out that hip hop and beer pong have made it into the future by hundreds of years. So good on them. Did you say you recognize? I'm 37. I recognize the song. I don't know who's singing it.
No, I didn't know it. Like, cause to me it sounded like a remix of a couple other things. Like I thought there was like Funk Master Flex on there. It sounded like I heard the Fugees and like, but I don't know which Fuji member it was.
Right.
Like, you know, like I don't think it was Wyclef, and I can't remember the other Fuji guy's name, which someone's probably like cursing me out right now.
You don't want your dad to know the members of the Fugees, anyways.
But yeah, it was a good mix of like a few different people on this track, so I think it was just a remix of something.
Right, and you saw Tilly playing beer pong, our favorite character, and then like she goes up, grabs the guy's drink, drinks it, and then like he goes in for a kiss, and she's like, "Nah, I'm good," and like just runs off.
She's like, "Slow your roll, homie."
She is still by far has the greatest scenes. It just everything she's in is fantastic. We see the power fluctuating, which they alluded to it a couple times, it happening, but I'm not sure if they actually said what was going on, if that was like the loop starting or...
Yeah, that was... Okay, so like when she brought up the power issue, you know, she was like, they're on redundant, blah, 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 like that should never happen. But you come to find out that is the start of the loop.
Okay,
like,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so like every time that thing flickers, that's when it was like, pew, we've just now started the 30 minutes over.
Right. So we probably saw, so with the whole start of the party, we saw the initial loop. So the loop we saw, loop 1, well, yeah, I don't know, because this is where it gets kind of shady, because we saw the lead into the loop starting, but then I believe even in loop 1, Harry Mudd mentions that he's done it before, but maybe not. Maybe he's saying, I will next time, or this is the first shot. But he got pretty far with his first try. That was the only part that was weird to me, is like he got pretty far. But we'll get there. So Tilly's...
Well, do you think that was his first try?
Well, only because we saw... If you're telling me that the power fluctuation is the start of the loop, then... And each next loop we see starts pretty much right there at that spot. So everything we saw before that was leading up to the start of the first loop. Make sense?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because, like, if we're gonna say that's the start of it, yeah, that's the start of the loop. But we don't know how much information he's gathered from that. Like, we don't, like, that, just because we see that piece, like, when the loops start, we don't know how many loops have actually passed.
Right.
So like, maybe, yeah, we happen to see that one piece, but really the next time we see the loop, it's loop 36.
True. I'm just saying from the very opening scene, that was the first time.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I was just saying the next loop, so like we don't really know if it was his first get-go that he was like, woo, we snagged a ton of information right there.
Correct. Yeah, the very first loop we see, I am seeing as loop 1. After that, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Because and as we go further in loops, like Stamets becomes more and more disheveled, like his shit's unzipped, and he's like, "Jesus, you've got to just do this right now." He keeps finding her earlier and earlier on in like the loop to get her to go where she needs to. So that was the best part of the loop, was him. He was the best part of this episode because it was him trying to get her further and further back to do what they needed to do, which was fantastic. So. We get some nice back and forth with Tilly and Burnham on loop. We're still on loop 1, by the way. We have a long way till we finish loop 1. She's like, I used to exclusively go for soldiers, but now I think I'm going through a musician phase right now.
Yeah. Okay, because I missed that piece, and I was wondering why Stamos was so specific later. Why he was like, go, 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 I think he's in a band. Ah!
Right. I just saw the hottest guy over there, and I think he's in a band. She, like, runs off, yeah. And then Tyler gives his toast to the fallen from the war. And Tilly's looking at him, and she's like, I think my soldier thing is back. So at that point, Tyler's going to make some small talk, and that's the first time that Burnham and him are called to the bridge. During their trip to the bridge, she runs into Stamets carrying something, and she's apologizing, and he's like, "Oh, why would you ever apologize for a random act of physical contact?" And like hugs her and shit.
Yeah,
and Culber
stony baloney, man,
all the time, man. And Culber just he's like, I want to apologize for my partner, and then that's when Stamets says, after all this highness, he goes, "You are astonishingly grounded for a man who endured 7 months of torture." Mm-hmm. That's the line he says, and then that's on top of all of this. It's just what they're not letting it go. I would let it go if they let it go, but they're not. They put little snippets in there, which makes me think, okay, when something finally happens with him, we can look back and go, oh, they talked about it here, and they talked about it here, and the captain didn't trust him here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that. I just don't think, like we said, I don't think it's the whole face-off thing. Like, I don't think at a certain point he's going to, push a button and all of a sudden, he's going to switch into a Cleon and be like, ha ha ha, well, gotcha.
That was never an option. I'm just saying that he got reconstructed. There's no going back, at least not right away. But yeah, I'm willing to put that aside. I'm liking the sleeper agent thing better. I'm liking the hidden consciousness or whatever is going on in his head.
Oh yeah, no, that's a cool one. I can agree with, or at least jump into that realm with you. I can
a little bit easier.
I can do that one. Like the first one you were spitting at me, I was like, I can't do it, man. Like the stuff the guy's done and said, as much as I can't even remember his name now because I haven't seen him in 3 episodes. I feel like
Voq
hates humans. Like he couldn't do the things that guy's doing.
Way too much empathy.
Yeah, with as much empathy, it was like that. As soon as he the very first time he pretended to be wounded and Stamets had to drag him out. Voq just wouldn't ever let that happen.
Right.
He's not capable of that.
All right, we're going with hidden sleeper, hidden consciousness, subconscious type.
Yeah,
thing.
man, I can see that. Some kind of trigger. I can see that. That one I can back.
Okay. And then while she's also talking to Stamets, we see how he's interacting with the spore drive now. We see for the first time the implants on his wrists, on his inner wrists, where now he
to make it easier.
So he doesn't have to get jacked in the side by needles. It just goes into his arm. So that's nice to see. All right, so after we see the needles, we move the needle entry points. We move to the bridge. There's something they're scanning for that they can't see yet. They find it. It's a Gormagander, which I've never heard of that before.
So that's a new thing.
Yeah, no one's ever seen one of those before. At least not. Yeah, I mean, since I think she says later
on the
on
endangered species list. So,
well, they knew what it was. We as Trekkies have never ever heard of that species before. Is what I'm saying. It's not like I know what a Gormagander is.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. But I was saying, since it was on the endangered species list, who knows how long it's actually been endangered.
True, yeah, but they definitely knew about it. And she said they've only come across 57 near contact things in the history they've been recording it. So, yeah, it's very rare to get one, which is Mudd's perfect plan because he knows they're going to have to pick it up and take it to, whatever sanctuary they take him to. I
want to know where that's at. Where's the space whale sanctuary?
The space whale sanctuary. Well, I love when Burnham was explaining the traits and why they're so endangered, that they feed on, stuff in solar winds, and they forget to reproduce. And Lorca's like, that is as depressing a trait as I have ever heard.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, so they go down to the cargo hold. They beam the Gormagander aboard. She's getting abnormal readings inside the creature from her handheld, from her tricorder scan, and the mouth opens and someone that we know is Mud later on steps out and just starts wasting people, just left and right in that cargo bay.
Oh yeah, just there was what, 8 confirmed casualties that we heard about.
Something like that. And Burnham does some nice evading, calls the bridge. I'm sure they would have already detected the weapons fire, but she calls the bridge. I like that Lorca specifically asks for the status on Burnham, not like how is everybody. He says, what's Burnham's status? And then he says, tell her do not engage the hostile. Like he's like, you, whatever you are, you can't die. Everybody else is fine, but you cannot get hurt or die.
Yeah, it almost like bothers me a little bit of how like special they've made her. Like, what other secrets is like going on here? Like, she's got to be. I almost feel like there's a Guardian of the Galaxy vibe going on. Like, all right, we know she's weird because she was raised by Vulcans and like had to do all that stringent non-emotion stuff. So like, I get that piece, but the whole prized possession piece, she's almost like Lorca's favorite weapon.
Right, she almost belongs in his little man cave.
Yeah. Like, he's got a weird thing going on, and it makes me really wonder, like, what kind of bonkers stuff is going on with her.
Right. And yeah, and that's going to be the underlying thing for the whole season or show or whatever. So we'll see. Mud reveals himself to the captain because they have him trapped. They finally get him trapped when he's like a few decks, further up. And he tells him that he's going to sell the ship to the Klingons. When you left me, you kept me from Stella, is what he was saying. He's bringing up his whole Stella thing, which I love how that degrades by the end of the episode. That we learn that it's all just a ploy. And then he's like, and I'm going to kill you as many times as I possibly can. And then he blows the ship up, and that was pretty cool. And that's how cause and effect ended every loop as the ship blew up. So that's always a nice, and it was kind of cool watching them walk through, like it's on deck, it's on 7, 6, 5. It's like we can't contain it, and then they just all kind of just sit there, and there it goes. There goes the ship.
Yeah, man, that explosion was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, just like working its way up the ship to the bridge. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Okay, so that's loop 1. The first loop we see, probably the first loop of all the loops. And now we know that as I name loops, I'm only naming the loops in the episode, not what total number of loops they end up doing, because we don't know. We know it's a shit ton, though. So loop 2 starts us right at Tyler's toast, pretty much when the lights dimmed. We see generally the same stuff as before, except when they leave and head to the bridge, they don't bump into Stamets in the hallway. He comes running around the corner as they catch the turbo lift, and his collar's already unzipped, and he's like just been hauling ass from wherever he was coming from before. And he tells them, listen, we've been here before. He's like, I cannot be the only one that knows this. Like, we have done all of this already. And then as like Culber is like pulling him away, he's like, it all starts with the Gormagander. He's like, it's the Gormagander. And they're all looking at him like he's crazy. And they get to the bridge, and Saru detects it, and then they both do like the look, like Burnham Burnham looks at Tyler, and they're like, and then they both are like, belay that order, like don't pick it up, and then Saru doing the Saru thing, like quotes, our captain would be court-martialed, and we'd be violation of this whatever order of not picking up the endangered species. So
yeah, because Mud actually repeats the order like later, I think.
Well, something like that.
Or not the order, but the violation code.
Right. And so Burnham's like, well, if we're gonna take it, Captain, I want to take point on this, and he's like, I don't give a damn. I just want to get it done. And then Tyler requests like security oversight, and Lorca's like, I still don't give a damn. Just go.
Yeah, that was great. I did like that part, man. I chuckled real hard at that.
So when they beam the Gormagander aboard this time, its noises are different. I don't know if that means anything, but like when it first got there the first time, and the only reason I really paid attention is when I was watching it in closed captions. The first time in loop 1, it was like Gormagander coos, and you know, this one it said Gormagander growls, and I'm like, okay, all right, so it is different sounding. So it's in a little bit more distress, whatever he's doing. This time, Mud transports out of the Gormagander somewhere else into the ship, so he doesn't just exit it and start shooting people. Then they go to Black Alert, so we find out that Mud is in engineering. He transported straight from there to the engineering deck. Everyone's locked out. The door is not locked, or the door is locked. Mud controls at least that section of the ship. He lets him in. He has a goblet, like a golden goblet with him, and I was trying to find online. I know when he appears in the original series, like he favors like a goblet to drink from, and so I thought that was kind of a little bit of some fan service.
Cool throwback right there. Then I
was trying to like Google like what his goblet looked like, but I just know that there's more than one episode, or there's more than one time I see him drinking from a goblet in the original series. I just can't pinpoint it. So. He lets them in engineering. We can tell he's trying to figure out how to work the spore drive, and he tells them. Tyler says Mud, and Burnham's like looks at him like, how the fuck do you know this guy? And then he's like, how did you escape? And he goes through a little bit of a story about like how the little bug that was with him, Stuart, like performed a feat of amazingness that, you know, would make any pickpocket or whatever, you know, blush or something. But you know, he goes through the story about that, which we, you know, could or couldn't be true. Who knows? Then they fire on him anyways, and there's a force field already up. But then Stamets comes in from the other side of engineering and shoots him, probably using the same tubes that Burnham used when she escaped the tardigrade the first time. Because he was kind of standing over in that side of engineering where she climbed up. He probably climbed down from there thinking about it with the force field and everything.
Yeah, so, I just assumed he was just like hiding back there because he's like, all right, man, I got to get in this little like scuddy hole and just wait and wait and wait.
Right. And then Stamets tells them, now that he's knocked out Mud, he tells them this isn't the first time, this is the first time he says something more to the effect of it's not just the first time they've been through it. So it's definitely been a bunch of times for him already. And he's like, I can't find a way that the home team wins. He's like, but I'll see you again soon. And the ship explodes from Mud's timer or whatever. So that ends loop 2. So loop 3, we start back at the party. So I'm detecting a pattern here. This time Tyler wants to dance, but they're saved by the call to the bridge. They're saved by the bell. They're called to the bridge. Stamets comes running into the party like soon thereafter and has missed them already because they're already on the bridge. Burnham, since she hasn't met Stamets, goes through the regulations for bringing the species on board, but this time only Burnham goes down. Only Burnham leaves the bridge. Tyler knows nothing of anything that's happened, so he stays on the bridge this time. Stamets finds her in the corridor, and he tells her, he's like, don't talk, just listen. And he goes through more for us than her, just in case we didn't catch. We're in a 30-minute temporal loop. She immediately like doesn't believe him until he starts quoting exactly what she's saying at the same time as she is.
Yeah.
And so that is definitely that convinces her enough. They're back then the scene switches, they're back on the bridge, and
Lorca, I like how he's like, yes, we've been through this before.
Right. And so we're back on the bridge, and Lorca's like, is the fish on board yet? And Saru's like, well, sir, technically it's not a fish.
And I love how Lorca looks at him like, you motherfucker, every time.
He's like, why did I put you as my first officer? God damn it. Lorca gets a call from the bridge that Stamets is in sickbay, which we know he didn't go to because Burnham believed him and they headed off somewhere else. So Lorca's in a turbo lift. He's taking a direct route to sickbay, and his destination's canceled. The door opens and just some random crew member falls forward with a knife in his back, and Lorca, and it's Mudd is standing behind him. Lorca tries to go to red alert. Mudd cancels it, so he already has control of the ship, of the crucial ship systems. And then he's trying to get to Mudd. We know Mudd's trying to get to a sealed portion of the ship, and Lorca's like, "I'm not going to help you." And then Mudd says this great line. He says, there really are so many ways to blow up this ship. It's almost a design flaw.
Yeah, dude, I love that. That was so good. That was such a sweet little one-liner, dude. It was just good. Like, that's whoever wrote that, man, kudos to you, because everyone in the room should have, like, as they read it, laughed or been like, yeah, man.
Yeah, they blow up a lot. Yeah, it's really easy to do that.
They do, right?
Like
I think that the ship's blown up like 12 times already, right? Yeah.
Right. So Mudd activates the self-destruct for the ship self-destruct sequence this time. So you actually have a countdown, which is why the loop doesn't immediately blow it up. In another corridor, this is where we pick up where Stamets and her ran off earlier from when he was mimicking her, what she was saying to him. They ran off. So we find out Stamets exists outside the loop because the tardigrade itself is a multidimensional creature. He also tells her that I can't stop Mudd alone. And sooner rather than later, Mudd's going to discover what the missing piece is, because earlier in the engineering, he's like, I can't figure out what goes in here, which is, the chamber that Stamets goes into.
Yeah. So we definitely had no idea what was going on with that yet.
Right. So we know that that's definitely going to play its part later on. We know that that's part of what Mudd's looking for. We had, keeping him away from it. He also knows that the time is coming real close to the end of the loop. So he's like, we're almost out of time. He's like, tell me a secret. Tell me something you've never admitted to anyone that will immediately when I can go back and tell you, you will immediately be convinced that you have told me this secret. So
she's like, I need the ultimate truth.
Right. It's almost like a the pinky game.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Just to tie it back to American Horror Story. I really enjoyed at this moment when she whispers to him, like, his acting chops. Like, you can see the emotion going through his face, and like he just tells her, he's like, I'm sorry. Like, that was just it was real touching. Actually, a couple really nice touching moments in this show that were platonic. Like, it was, not like her and Tyler, it was like her and Stamets. Like, later on when they dance in the corridor, like,
yeah,
that was
it was a cool way to see a budding, unique friendship happening.
Exactly. Right. And so we know she tells him the secret, and then we see that Mudd has taken Lorca to his menagerie, to his man cave, which we're going to call it that from now on, because menagerie is way too hard to keep saying every time. So it's now Lorca's man cave, thanks to Harry Mudd. So as Mudd explores the room, this is when we get the Lorca death montage, and like we get to see all the different ways that, the top highlights of how he's killed him. That this is like the whole, like, they give us the compilation shot of like shooting him here, then turn around and shoot him there.
Oh,
then
transport
him into
I like
space.
how he was sitting in the chair and like he just like which I didn't get, because, well, okay. So this is what kind of threw me off, right?
Okay.
So he's sitting in the chair, and like, let's say the first time he blasts Lorca in the face, and then he sits down. Let's just say that's how it went down, because I don't actually recall when we see him sitting in the chair, like if there was a full fluid motion to it. But how did he then know he was coming in through the back door then? Like, because that 30 minutes was re-looping.
Yeah, he's just telling it wasn't like it was all the same scene or anything. He's just saying one time he walked in and shot him.
So they were basically just like jumping when he was in the conversation to his death.
The next time he shot him.
And then I killed you this way, and then I killed you that way. Okay, gotcha. Because that actually kind of bothered me. I was like,
what's happening?
I was like, I feel like you guys are better than that.
Yeah, no, it was just like, first I walked in and shot you, and then when you walked in here, I was already in your captain's chair, I shot you then, and I transported you out into space and shot you, and then all the other ones they showed us, yeah, so he definitely got it a bunch of different ways, too. The transporting into space, that one got me the most, because I was just like, oh, man, not a way I want to go.
No, yeah, where he like all of a sudden you see his body jerk. Yep.
Yeah, that makes me twitch. And so at the end of his explanation of shooting him a bunch of times, he picks up that 6-shooter looking Western style grip gun and shoots him with it and kills him at the end of that one, and then the ship explodes. All right, so that ends loop 3, and we are now into loop 4. I'm sure after a commercial break, more than likely. Excuse me, and we start at the power surge at the party again. And just because I had paused it and I had watched the after trek, it was kind of cool. They had a guy, an actor who's actually a disabled actor who is in a wheelchair normally. He was playing a disabled Starfleet crew member, so he was in like a space wheelchair. And I only noticed it because I didn't notice it when I first watched the episode, but I actually had it paused. And he was like in the background. I was like, oh shit, there's the guy in the wheelchair they were talking about in the after trek show. But it was kind of cool that they're already, since they're in a wartime Starfleet, you have guys who will have been injured and are still able to serve their duty on the ship, even in a wheelchair or whatever. So it was kind of cool that they have already put that into the show as well. Oh,
that's cool, man. Like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did until I watched the after trek and they showed us a picture of the actor and they're like, this is so and so, and he's already disabled and we hired him to play this guy who's in a wheelchair. So it was pretty cool. And then Stamets, after like being so nice in the hallway and like, you know, don't worry, your secret's safe with me type thing, like runs up to her in the middle of the party and like with the music blaring, he's like, you've never been in love.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was, I just was like, damn, dude. Yep. I love her reaction too. Like, what did you just say to me?
Why would you say that to me in here? But this time his explanation to her during, like, he tells it all to her right there at the party. He's like, you've got to go talk to Tyler. You've got to find out what he knows about Mudd. You only have right now to do it because you won't be alone with him again until it's too late, or you won't be alone with him again in the rest of the loop. So she dances with him. They get ready to, you know, they start talking like some small talk. Wait a second. Where am I? Did I miss it? Oh, no, it's the wrong. I'm jumping ahead. That's when she talks to Stamets. She goes to dance with him, but then as she's starting to do some small talk, and Stamets is like watching from the side, like she doesn't get to it, and like they get called to the bridge. So she knows, you know, as her and Stamets are walking in the hallway, she's like, I know I blew it. I didn't get the information from him, and I know we won't be alone again until the loop is over, you know, till, you know, there's the rest of this loop. So, and this is the part where Stamets is like, dance with me. And he pulls her to him and they start talking, and she's like, I don't know how to connect with anybody. And this is kind of like this is a really nice and just, it's kind of a nice break from the tension of the whole episode. Like they're just kind of talking. She's explaining that she's, you know, she goes into more detail with the I'd never been in love thing. She doesn't know how to connect with anybody. Stamets is the first. He's like, "Can you let me lead, please?"
Yeah, dude, I like that too. He's like, "Will you let me lead, please?"
And then he goes into the story about how him and Dr. Culber met, which was cool. He said he was on Alpha Centauri in a cafe, and he's like, "Have you ever heard anybody try to hum Khaleesian opera?" He's like, "It's horror." She's like, "I've never heard that happen." And he says, like, I told him if he's gonna do that, he needs to go do it somewhere else. And he said, instead of leaving, he sat down next to me, and he's been next to me since, like, ever since then. So that was a kind of a neat, you know, backstory into their relationship. And then, like, when the explosion was going to happen, he knew it was getting close, and they just kind of turned and just kind of held hands, and the explosion happened. I thought it was really a beautiful scene, truthfully. I mean, not to sound sappy or anything, but I think I even tweeted about it. Like, I even said it was, like, beautiful, like, on Twitter. So now it's, like, on the internet forever. But, yeah, it was a really well done scene, I thought.
Yeah, no, it was, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It was beautiful, man. Like, it was a good, beautiful scene.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that, of course, ends loop 4. We only got 2 loops to go, man. We're almost done with this thing. We almost break out of this. It's a long ride. So we start at the party. She immediately grabs Tyler and she's like, "Let's dance." And as she's dancing, like Tilly's like in the corner, like winks at her.
Yeah. She's like, "Get it, girl."
So this time Burnham goes straight at Mudd. Like she goes straight at asking about everything. Did he ever say anything? She says, he's on the ship. He's going to take it over. I need to know everything you know about this guy from the time you were with him, in Klingon, torture sex prison. And then he's like, she tells him she likes him. That's why she couldn't get this information from him in a previous loop because, she couldn't get it out right. And then he goes, well, if time is really repeating, then this won't matter. And like he goes in and moves in for a kiss, right? So good on him. There's no way he's a Klingon now.
Yeah, he was definitely like, well, then this won't matter.
Right.
Boom. Laid it on her.
Laid it on her. And so after he kisses her, he explains. Actually, they get called to the bridge and they ignore it this time, which is good because it counts them from like having to leave. And he goes through the whole story of when they were in prison, Mudd would brag about robbing a Betazoid bank, which if you don't know, Deanna Troi on Star Trek Next Generation was a Betazed. That's what planet she's from. So that's what he's talking about, just so you know. And the way he would explain it, as he's telling the story, we're watching Mudd do the same thing on Discovery, like pause and time the ship out perfectly to like miss people so they never see him.
Yeah. Which makes you also realize how smart he is, because if he's only done it in 53 tries, like the dude's pretty damn smart.
Right. Or yeah, exactly. And the only thing that bugged me here was that, what was it that was bugging me? Because I was watching it today when I was taking the notes finally, and they called it a non-equilibrial time state. Tyler calls it that. Like, so why didn't you just say from the beginning, oh yeah, he probably has a device that lets him do this? Don't act like surprised about it. Like you knew about it because the guy's been saying it in the whole story. Like he knew the name because that's what Mudd told him. I don't know. He just got to that point of the story. Like you should have said it at the beginning. You're like, oh yeah, Mudd has a non-equilibrial time crystal. He uses it to rob a bank.
Why would he assume he still has it, though?
Well, because she just told him what's going on. That's the only reason. Like, oh, yeah, by the way, Mudd has one of those things that could create this loop. But, touche. It just seemed just a tiny bit sloppy when it comes to, we have to critique where we can critique on this show, which is not a whole bunch. So it was just the way that things went. Yes, they wanted to show the cool shot of like him doing the Ocean's 11 style stop and do this and no one sees you. And, it's like that whole like pattern dance type thing.
Yeah.
So whatever. That's just it. So she gets the explanation that she needs. We know what's going on now. They all know what's going on now, at least for this loop. We're on the bridge. They aren't on the bridge. Burnham and Tyler are not on the bridge. Lorca's like, is the fish here yet? And Saru does the same, like, well, actually, sir, it's not a fish. And
yeah, again. And
then suddenly, like, music starts on the bridge, like a good march, like a good lively march starts like playing, and he's like, what is there? Everybody's locked out of the controls. Mudd walks right in the bridge. The ship calls him Captain Mudd, like when he speaks to it. Mm-hmm. He beams Lorca right to the brig, which is better than space, I guess. And this is another time that so Saru confronts him. Saru steps up like all badass and stuff, and Mudd's like, "You've done this so many times."
Yeah.
And he goes, "There are 823 ways to die in space, and this is rumored to be the most painful." And he holds up weaponized dark matter, which is like, I'm like, that sounds bad.
Yeah, no, anything called dark matter can't be good.
Exactly. And this is where he also says man cave for the first time about. And okay, so since I'm picking a little bit, do you think they're using too much daily, like, slang from today in this show?
No, because I think like man cave's been around for quite a while.
Yeah, yes, man cave's been around for probably a couple decades in the late 20th, in the early 21st century. Is that the kind of thing that's going to last that long? I mean, because we already saw Like the music was the same, beer pong type thing, drinking games type stuff. I mean, there's a lot of like today in this show, and that's not always. There's always been like variations of things that are current today, but with a twist.
Well, I think you saw the twist in the games, and then I think the music was probably just a throwback party. Like that was probably like us doing an '80s night. Or some shit,
but see, that's just it. This is like the year 23 something, right? So it'd be like us dancing to some like.
Okay, well, you got to remember though, like, okay, well, I know where you're going with this. You're saying that would be like us dancing to some like Sticks shit. On Wheels or some shit. Like, I get it, but you got to understand that if it's that far in the future, they have that many back catalogs of different genres. And you got to really remember, like, music didn't really take off until maybe 1940, more of a widespread area. So, or where you could at least have separate genres.
I agree, and I do see where you're coming from. Yes, I do. We're not going to have a jam out to Mozart.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's cool to listen to every once in a while, but no, we're not going to throw a Mozart party in any point ever.
Oh yeah, next party at my house, that's what we're doing is a Mozart party. That's all it's going to be going on this on Alexa is going to be Mozart. Okay, so where are we in this? Read my notes. Oh. Yeah, so this is when he's holding the dark matter on the bridge, and he's, he knows the random crew member is going to rush him. And then Burnham, Tyler, and Stamets enter the bridge. They fire at him. He has the same force field up like he did in engineering earlier in one of the other previous loops. And then he chucks the dark matter at Tyler, and Tyler goes out. Gone.
I like how he called the random bridge guy out, though, by calling him the random bridge guy.
Right. Even you, random bridge guy. Mm-hmm. And we find out after he kills Tyler, Burnham goes to move for him, and Saru stops her. He's like, too many people have, there's no point in anybody else worthlessly dying.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, he was like, no, we're not doing that.
Right, so Mudd is still to this loop, still trying to figure out how the drive works. And at this point, Stamets finally says, "Look, it's me. Like, here's my arm. I'm the one you need." So he immediately takes Stamets to the bridge, or transports to engineering, I believe. He immediately snags him, and they're out of there. And then Burnham calls for Tilly on the comm, and they head down to the creature. Tilly's scanning it. She finds Mudd's ship is inside the Gormagander. We know that Mudd, and at this point, they say out loud that Mudd has control of all critical systems. You kind of figured that when no one could do anything, but they're saying critical systems on purpose for later on.
Yeah, because there was one thing that wasn't a critical system, and I was like, how is that not a critical system?
Which one? The chair?
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
It controls everything. Like,
not
that would
really.
Be one of
it more just it's the captain's chair in the history of Star Trek. Let me just go through it. Like Kirk and Picard are the major captain's chairs you've seen up until now. They pretty much are just showing him statuses of stuff from other places. He can't necessarily do a bunch of stuff from there. Well,
then I feel like he shouldn't have been so pissed off when he was pushing those buttons. And like, because remember, like earlier, he was sitting in the captain's chair, like trying to get it to do shit, and it wouldn't do anything for him. So like, I just feel like, and then later, they hacked it.
I mean, he's just the manager of the group. He's not really doing the work. So the chair, I don't know. It helps the plot along, Corey.
That's fine. That's fine. It was like one of the things that bothered me. And I'm hoping someone explains it to me and goes, "Nah, dude, you missed this like little scene right here." And I'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah."
That makes a whole lot more sense now. Yeah, my bad.
I'll just for me, I'll tell you that I think it's more of just the captain's chair just provides him with current status information. He's not doing any work from there. He's not firing weapons or going into warp speed or doing anything normal ship duty type stuff from that chair. He's just got status of it. In fact, if you play the VR Star Trek Bridge Crew game, like all you can do is see statuses from the captain's chair and issue orders. To do any of the actual stuff, you have to like switch to the engineering station or to the helmsman station to do those kind of things. I'm not saying it's canon, but I'm saying that like that kind of makes a little bit of sense.
All right.
Yeah, I'll you can let me move on now.
Yes, I'll begrudgingly just move this ship along.
Ooh, like from a captain's chair.
There you go.
Yeah, boy. Ugh.
Pulls the collar slightly.
That was rough. Yeah, okay. So, knowing where his ship is, Tilly and Burnham realize that they need him to reset time one more time for them to get this all the way right. But now that he has Stamets, how are they going to do that? Well, Mudd's in the captain's ready room, doing a captain's log, and Burnham comes in. She starts asking about Stella, which is she's like, so it isn't about you, isn't it really about Stella? And he's like, oh yeah, Stella, my star, we're star-crossed lovers, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, you may be selling this ship for a lot, but you also have me. He's like, I went through the crew manifest. You're a nobody. And she's like, I'm Michael Burnham.
Yeah, she's like, by the way, bitch.
That's who the fuck is this guy? That's who the fuck I am.
Yeah, seriously.
So she's like, you'll get a lot for the ship, but I killed their Messiah. I killed their unifier. So you can imagine what I'll be worth to them. And he's like, yes, very true. And then she fucking eats the dark matter. Just eats it.
Yeah, dude, she just threw that thing down like it was a cough drop and was like, all right, dude, catch you later. See you next.
Like, you watch it go down her. Like, you can see it moving down. Like, when she swallows it, you're just watching. You're like, oh, god dang, girl. Oh, man.
Yeah,
yes.
She didn't.
No scream. Yeah, for being as painful, the painfulest way to die in space.
Yeah, there it is, man. Like, she just, like, held it in. She was like, all right, I know I'm gonna be back here in couple seconds, so let's get this over with.
Truthfully, with all of the throwbacks to the current day, like, I almost wish she had like given him the finger, like as she was dying, like been like pet. as she was
that would have been pretty funny. I would have lost it.
Someone would have bitched and moaned horribly at the other end, but it would have been hilarious. I'd have probably lost it laughing at that. Okay, so luckily we are now entering into loop 6, which we all know from my notes is the final loop. and good on the production crew, or good on like the director. Like, we fast forward through all the stuff, like her dancing with him, her getting all the information, and then as they're fast forwarding, we see Tyler and Stamets briefing the captain on the bridge, and then he gets up and they start dorking with his chair. So when I first watched it the first time through, I didn't even really give a shit. I was like, okay, what do they do? It doesn't really matter. And then everything slows down to normal speed, and the little montage stops, and Mudd enters the bridge from behind the captain, which is cool because he's like, Harry Mudd or Captain Mudd or something, and like, so Mudd's already like, yes. How do you know?
Like, wait a minute, what are you talking about?
Right. And they're all there, like Stamets, Tyler, Burnham. Like, it's way, way different that he has entered that bridge before. So everybody's aware of what's going on. And then he turns to Stamets and he's like, "You've been cheating. Like you've been peeking at the deck." He's like, and then. I just Stamets did his character from as much as I didn't like him the very first scene he was in, like, he is slowly or quickly becoming one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, dude, he's awesome.
He is.
I mean, I kind of liked him from the get-go. I was like, hey, you're a little bit of a dick, but you're cool, man. And then all of a sudden he went all like trippy hippie, and I was like, yeah, you're definitely my dude now.
Yeah, no, he's great. And like the face he gives him when he's like, yep, I've been cheating. What are you going to do? Lorca relinquishes, and I use air quotes, my awesome patented podcast air quotes. He relinquishes the ship, Burnham and Stamets, to Mudd in exchange for the crew's life. And then he, like, because he was in the cell with Mud, and Mud knows the story. He's like, I will not have a repeat of the Baran again. So, it kind of throws Mud off because Mud's like, oh yeah, he had that ship that everyone died on except for him. Mud takes the deal, shakes his hand. The ship arrives. Justin, and he Mud thinks it's a Klingon ship. The wrist crystal thing he's been using, the loop finishes and it disintegrates. And he's walking them to the transporter room. And then Stamets shows him the flaw in his Stella story. He's like, but her father was an arms dealer. We found that out because archives weren't critical systems. So we're in a wartime. You say you're looking for Stella. Her father's an arms dealer. How the shit can you not find them? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like, they're kind of big news, man.
Right. He wouldn't be hard to find in a war.
Very easily be able to find them.
So they say that archives are non-critical systems, and then they say it turns out that Stella's been looking for you, especially when you ran out on her and took her father's dowry with you. And as he's thrown off, Burnham disarms him. He's like, but you guys forget the Klingons are coming, and they're like, no, actually they're not. The ship that arrived is Stella's ship.
Yeah, and Daddy's on board, by the way.
Right, it's Daddy's ship.
I was gonna say it is Daddy's ship, and Stella's on board.
Right now, I looked the night of the episode and it didn't list, but do you watch Wynonna Earp on Sci-Fi? I think it's on Sci-Fi.
No, but I know what show you're talking about.
Is that I think Stella is Officer Hot from Haught, Hot. Officer Hot from Wynonna Earp. I'm pretty sure it's the same actress. I'm not positive, but I was like, hey, I think I know her. So I think that's who that is. But she's wearing a sheriff's get up in the show, so I can't really tell when she has Star Trek clothes on. So I was okay. She has her hair done differently. I was like, I think that's the same girl, but they didn't have anything updated because God forbid CBS tell us anything about the show. Like I ranted about last week.
I still think Burnham's the character for. Nope, totally just lost it. She's like the cover girl for the new Dishonored video game. I feel like
she possibly could be. Who knows? I mean, that's a possibility. I haven't seen Dishonored, so I don't know. So Stella and her father beam aboard. She's, very, I love you. I know how you were. The father's like, I'll take, I don't want to owe Starfleet anything for returning him to me, and they're just like, just keep him away from Starfleet, which you just had a major con man / criminal see the most top secret ship in the Starfleet, and you're just gonna let him go back to his family and see you later. That was the only part that was kind of at the end of it. He was like, "Are you really gonna do that?"
I think as long as he was out of the picture and they realized that Daddy was so keep him in line kind of thing because he's such a scary man that they were like, we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
Not right now. Not for right now, at least.
Not until the original series.
He's out of our hair. He's fine for the time being.
We'll let Kirk bother with him later on.
Yeah.
All right, so ending the episode out, it's kind of like the wrap up. It's Burnham and Tyler in a corridor. They're having some small talk. Stamets, had told them that they danced. And she's trying desperately to explain her feelings for Tyler, and then he's cool because he's like, it's really sad that we missed our first kiss.
Yeah, right.
So it was a cool way to end it out. It was nice. Those two, you could definitely tell that love story is what's going to carry over the next. That'll be the overarching thing over the next few episodes or the rest of the series or whatever happens until he's revealed to be the bad guy that we know he is.
He's not a bad guy, man. He's not a bad guy.
He's a good guy with a bad plant. So, and that was it. That was the time loop episode. And, it was, I enjoyed every bit of it. I always love seeing how they figure it out at the end, no matter which one it is. The next episode looks pretty cool because we get to learn more about Saru's homeworld, or at least they're exploring some planet, and he's also talking about his world. I don't know. I know there was a flash of like the Admiral, so we'll see how she's doing being held by the Klingons. So it should be pretty wild. I also want to report, as of the end of this episode, which is episode 7, CBS All Access just billed me for this month. So my whole idea of like it happening after episode 8 is not correct. So whatever. So I'm not sure why they added the episode 9 on there. You know what I'm saying? Like they almost could have like stuck it on the other end. Maybe they actually did go by the plot. Maybe 9 will wrap it up. Will wrap the mid-season finale up better than episode 8.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe they're not. Well, they're still money-grubbing bastards. CBS is. So the stream did not do nearly as bad this time. They must have learned from last week. There was a few little times where it dropped out of HD, got a little pixelated, and like 1 or 2 little buffer rings, but nothing nearly like it was last week. So at least they're fixing the Sunday night 8:30 issue. But
so the stream was good, because I mean I never have problems with it.
Well, you don't watch it live. You don't
well,
watch it.
That's what I'm saying.
Live.
I always watch it later. Yeah,
and I said that. I even said it last week. Last week I wasn't complaining about their standard normal streaming. It's that time at 8:30 when however many million log in and try to watch the same file. You know what I'm saying? They're just banging on all the servers and nothing else is happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that wraps up our this week's discussion of American Horror Story and Star Trek Discovery. If you stayed here for both, we want to thank you immensely. We know it's always a long listen when we're doing these 2 shows. It won't always be 2 shows. They just happen to overlap this time. In fact, we may switch into movies here in when Star Trek Discovery takes its mid-season break. We'll see what kind of lines up. Not a lot of shows are starting up in December, so Corey and I may start hitting the movie of the week. So yeah, we'll see what happens here coming up. It'll always be something good to tune into. We'll promise you that much.
Yeah, we will always try our best to make sure that like whatever we've selected is entertaining, and you know, for as many seasons this has been on, I didn't think American Horror Story was going to be such a struggle. Yeah. But hey, we still managed to pull an hour out of it almost every week.
True. We try not to Eeyore on it too much. We try not to ho-hum on it. So, well, thank you, everybody. Hit us up on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook and everywhere else. And, you know, like and share with all your friends. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah, you guys take care. Love and peace.